What is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another Optc video, and in today's video, we're over here on the Japanese side of the game, taking on the new treasure map that has just released. Well, it's been about 12 hours now. Your boy had a footy game last night, and I wasn't really getting too much done under the sauce, you know, but better late than never, right? So we are putting up our treasure map playthrough. I think I'm on like navigation level 4, so I have done a few runs. I have got a little bit of a feel for the treasure map, and I gotta say, this treasure map's not overly tricky. There's not too many gimmicks that you need to get around that are going to make you struggle, but I would recommend trying to find a king or a queen, mainly a king, when you are coming up against Big Mom, as that final stage against Big Mom can be a little bit tricky if you are lacking one of the new legends like king or queen, namely because she gives you the debuff where you can only use 2 specials. There are some actually other tricky debuffs when you come up against Jack. He makes all colors and recovery orbs unfavorable. So there is something like that, and then there's like stuff like special blind. So hopefully you farmed up all the free-to-play units. Unfortunately for me, I am missing one of the key free-to-play units, which is the Shoutout. I've just had such bad luck with his orb drops that I still don't have him max limit broken and maxed out. But I do have a cheeky way to get around that particular fight when we do come up to it. So we are going to come up against the Intrusion when we verse Kaido. This is the particular team we're rocking. I am using Queen as my captain. Queen's really, really good because the cyborg Queen, has that carryover effect. If you use an orb boost, he will auto trigger his special, which is really, really nice. So on turn 1, we come up against Momosuke. He's going to give us our cooldowns. I'm pretty sure the cooldowns are for Dex and quick characters. And then we come up against Orochi on stage 2. Now Orochi's going to give us 4 turns of paralysis and a full board of bomb orbs. So this is where having like Kanjuro on the team can work really nicely, as he can make bomb orbs matching for your driven units. But with this particular team, we have Okiku to remove the paralysis, which is, the defense up. And then we have Kappa to remove the paralysis. We can then switch with our Sabo and Ace to give us a few matching orbs. And with that, we should be able to say goodbye to our boy Orochi here. If I could hit my perfect so that would be amazing. Beautiful. With that, we move on to the final stage against the big dog, Kaido, the dragon form Kaido. Now he's going to give us a full board of block orbs. He has 3 turns of resilience and a 15 hit barrier, as well as being immune to delay. So we can use the Queen special here to give us an attack boost. We can then use Dendro to give us an orb boost, and then we can switch with Sabo and Ace once again to give us color affinity, and then use their special to rotate those block orbs. With that, we have enough damage. We can say goodbye to Kaido here, and hit with our Dex units. Boom. Catch you later. Now with Queen's special, Queen's going to trigger that end of turn damage and get through the resilience there. You can easily use the orb boost of Dendro on the previous turn and then use the Queen special to get the carry over the chain lock. But at the meantime, like, the damage is sufficient without it. So for the meantime, I'm just going to stick with doing what we're doing. But eventually I will look at the strat of using Queen special against Orochi, and using Dendro to give us an orb boost. That way we can get that carryover effect and auto trigger Queen on the final stage. Alright, we're going to fast forward to the end now, or until we verse another mini boss. I'll see you guys there. Alright, so we've arrived at Jack on the mini boss stages. So against Jack, we are using a Sabo and Ace dual led team. Now, the key units to bring for this particular fight are actually TreasureMap Smoker, who I don't actually have because I haven't been playing the game for when that treasure map was around, as well as Kanjuro. Actually, was it TreasureMap Smoker? It might be someone else, but it's mainly Kanjuro. Now, with this Jack fight, once we get to the end, he actually makes all colored orbs unfavorable, as well as making recovery orbs unfavorable as well. So I did have the strat of bringing Luffy and Sanji on this particular team, but unfortunately those recovery orbs actually become unfavorable. The only orbs that aren't unfavorable for this particular fight are bomb orbs or T&D orbs. So that's why Orochi's so good. But the downside to Orochi is on such a massive cooldown, like a ridiculously high cooldown. The idea with Orochi and Kanjuro, they're actually built for King and Queen, who can give lots of cooldowns. So when you're not using them with those particular units, it's very, very hard to actually get their specials maxed out. Now, as you can see, we've hit the final stage. Jack gives us coefficient down reduction, as well as making all orbs unfavorable. But he only lets us tap with 3 units as well. That's another really annoying thing. But beautiful thing about this team is we are using Sober Mask. So I did slap Sober Mask on this particular team, mainly because he can give us a full board of T&D slots as well as an attack boost. We can then just basically pop all of our specials, so we can start getting our cooldowns of Sober Mask once again, and then that way we can actually use the Sober Mask special to give us a 2.5 times attack boost. As long as we have 3 free spirit units, which we do, attacking, we're going to say goodbye to Jack, easy peasy. So unfortunately, Sober Mask isn't getting any, like, buff on this particular team as he's not boosted, but he's boosted under the captains. But he's not giving us any ticket drops, but he just makes life so much easier and so much quicker, as that way we don't have to stall for that Conjurer special, as well as giving us a nice chunky 2.5 attack boost and a full board orb. So it works really, really nicely there. We're going to get some treasure map, limit break stuff for our Ryoiin there, the new Pyro Rumble unit. I just slapped him on that team because I needed to get his limit break up. I do need to slap Kaido on one of these teams as well, so that way I can start building up his mastery points as well. But onto page 1 now, against page 1. Page 1 is the easiest of these bosses, and stereotypically I would run Buggy if I was over on Global. But over here on Japan, I just don't have that luxury of all of those very, like, speedy units that can kind of blast through the stages, as well as being very, very good at the end. So with this particular team, I am using Verse Shanks, as Verse Shanks can run like a mono side team, and is a very good captain himself. He can rotate block orbs, which is basically the only thing you have to worry about on this particular fight. And as long as you have blind reduction in your sockets, you really don't have anything else to worry about. So we're just going to sort of smash tap our way through here and just let our units do the work. Now, you don't have to run Verse Shanks for this particular fight. Verse Shanks works very, very well, but the recommended characters are the free-to-play size Straw Hats. They are always usually the recommended characters for this particular fight. But you can also run stuff like TreasureMap Anil. You can use Kid with the Kizuna Kid support. Anything like that actually works very, very nicely. Once we hit the final stage, we come up against page 1, who is a int unit. He gives our captains bind for 3 turns, which will go away with our sockets. And then he gives us a full board of block orbs. But with the Shanks special, we can give ourselves a full board of orbs, as well as an orb buff, and just absolutely destroy page 1. Like I said, if you are using Verse Shanks, you literally just fill the team with any point boosters. Preferably Psy units if you can, and then Bob's your uncle, you're good to go. Let's move on to the next fight now. So I'm pretty much at the end, so I might just sort of keep it rolling. Give me all those limit break materials, please. Alright, so we are right at the end here. And we come up against the last 2 mini-bosses that we missed were King and Queen, ironically. So against King, I am using Shanks' crew as my captain. I was doing something like this, and it was working very nicely, until I got to the final stage, because Ashura Doji and the Sea Monster are both the recommended units for this particular fight. Unfortunately for me, I was a little bit slack with farming Ashura Doji, mainly because of the bug that King and Queen had. Namely, where Queen didn't get the rollover of the chain lock, and I was sort of just one special shy whenever I was farming that event. And I was starting to get really frustrated with it, because I just kept dying on that last stage and just wasting heaps of stamina. But if you guys do have Ashura Doji maxed out, Ashura Doji can actually remove Special Blind, as well as remove his own Special Blind on himself. Unfortunately for me, I haven't got him to the point where he has that Sailor ability, and if you do have that, just run Onami as your captain, or run anyone else, as you just need Ashura Doji and the Sea Monster to get this particular fight done. But with my setup, because I don't have that luxury of using Ashura Doji to his max potential, I will be using Shanks' crew. Now, you don't have to run double Shanks' crew. If you don't have Shanks' crew, just try and bring a friend if you are struggling with this particular fight. Namely because once we get to this final stage against King, he gives us Special Blind and he puts up Defense up. So we can remove the Defense up with the Sea Monster special. We can get an attack boost with our Shanks' Crew switch abilities. And then we can actually remove the Special Blind with Shanks' Crew's amazing captain ability. Again, if you guys have Ashura Doji max, you don't need to bring Shanks' Crew and you can run some more points. But with the orb boost that the Sea Monster provides, with that little attack boost, and then the conditional boost we can get from the Kuja Pirates, we can easily take that stage out, no issues whatsoever. If you want to, you can stall for Nami special, you can stall for Shanks' Crew special. But in the meantime, because we are such on a low nav level, it's not that big of a drama. And it's not that big of an issue either. We can just sort of get to the end, take that stage out. Ideally, you want to sort of run through these mini-boss stages as quickly as possible. Otherwise, TreasureMap just becomes so damn tedious and so much of a grind that it becomes so irritating to play. But if you have a way to make those early stages very, very quick, it allows you to sort of be a bit more patient when it comes to this type of game mode. So onto the final boss fight, we're coming up against Queen. Now against Queen, the recommended characters are the Bonkichi Brook, the Mugiwara one, the one that came out for Kizuna last, as well as the last TreasureMap unit that is TreasureMap Zoro. So, as well as the Germa 66, the super evolution of Germa 66 are also recommended for this fight. Now, because those units are recommended, the Mugiwara, I decided to run Sanji as my captain. Now, Sanji is really, really cool for TreasureMap, mainly because he activates his special when you start the fight. So you get 4 turns of an attack buff, you get 4 turns of an orb buff, and you get 4 turns of auto heal, which is really cool, as well as landing on matching orbs for 4 turns. Now, the beautiful thing about that is when you are doing these single tap strats, the fact that we have an attack and an orb boost just makes life so much easier, because we can just be like tap, 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 and then we just sit here and watch, take a sip of our coffee, and we're good to go. It just works out really, really nicely when we are running TreasureMap, especially on these mini-boss stages, as Sanji can just blitz his way through. Once we get to the final stage, Queen is actually going to do a captain swap. That's why Germa 66 is actually so good for this particular piece of content. But most of the time, it doesn't really matter what captain you get as your captain, as you are going to be in good stead no matter what. But ideally, you want to use the Germa special on stage 4. We are just going to use the specials of our Sanjis to give ourselves an attack buff and an orb buff. We can extend the attack buff with Brook and remove the damage reduction. We can extend the orb buff and remove the threshold with Zoro. And then we can just do some Germa shenanigans just because we can turn our attack buffs into 2.3. We can turn our orb buffs into our chain lock multipliers. This team just has everything, and it's just absolute destruction. It's not going to have any issues moving forward, and just running mono Sai against Queen, it's just going to work really, really nicely. Alright, so let's move on to the final stage now against the Big Mama, the Queen herself, Miss Charlotte Lin. So against Lin, I am running an Okiku friend captain, mainly because it's still very early, but eventually I'm going to have to start changing that up to running King and Queen as captain. The big downside to King and Queen's release is they ideally run with the opposite to whichever one you're running as captain. So if you're running Queen, you want to run a friend captain King. If you're running King, you want to run a friend captain Queen. They're not really ideal to run double Queen or double King for that matter, but nevertheless the units are still very, very strong, and I do like what they've done. I just hope that they don't do it too much moving forward, as it does become a bit tedious with the friend captain system. But with this new update that is coming to Japan, I feel like it's going to make it a little bit easier to find those types of characters, as they do seem to be working on their friends list, which is really nice to see. On to stage 4 though, we come up against Choppermon. Now against Choppermon, he is going to bind our captains, as well as give us 4 turns of burn and roll back our specials in our middle row. So we can use the Kappa special, Kappa. That's going to remove the bind, and then we can actually use the Queen special. Because we're not going to be using the Queen special on the next stage, we need to use the Orochi special. Not Orochi, Denjiro. With Denjiro's special, we give ourselves an orb boost, and that's actually going to auto-trigger our Queen's special for the next turn. Now, ideally here, we actually want to hit 3 perfects. We're not really phased about the burn, but the reason we want to hit the 3 perfects is that way we actually get Queen's chain lock carrying into the next stage. Fairly important that we can get that, as we can only use 2 specials against Lin. She's going to take away all their orbs and give us an attack down debuff, which is a little bit annoying. And that's what makes King so good for this fight, as Okiku is actually an attack booster. So with the Okiku special, you can actually remove the attack down and give yourself an attack buff. And ideally, that's what you want to be doing on the previous stage to get the carryover of the King special. Unfortunately for me, I don't have King, so we are working with what we've got, and we do have Queen instead. But with our 2 specials, we can use Okiku to remove the attack down, and then we have an orb boost and a full border orbs with both the Queen super typing and the Dendro special. And with that, we have a chain lock as well, which is nice, and we can say goodbye to Big Mom. Beautiful. So I don't really know how long this team's going to work for, but like I said, eventually when I need to, I am going to bump it up to a King friend captain, as King is sort of ideal for that last fight. But there you guys go. That was my Japanese V2 Kaido TreasureMap playthrough. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and if you did, make sure to go down there and belt that like button for me. And if you're new to the channel, hit the big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later!